let's solve this problem here. Which of the following is an equivalent form of the equation of the graph shown in the xy plane above, from which the coordinates of vertex A can be identified as constants in the equation? So a quadratic function or any quadratic function can also be written in its vertex form, okay, which is in the form y equals a times x minus h squared plus k, where a here, a, h, and k are constants, and hk is the vertex of the parabola when the function, the quadratic function, is graphed in the coordinate plane. So depending on the sign of a here, the constant k must be the minimum or maximum value of the function, the quadratic function. So if a is negative, then the parabola opens downwards. That means k here, the constant k, is maximum, the value of k. So when the value of a is positive, then that means the parabola opens upwards. Then the value of k is at minimum. Now in this case, we're given the graph and the equation, which is y equals x squared minus 2x minus 15. Now we can write this in the vertex form, this form here. Now we can group x squared and negative 2x here, and then we complete the square. So that would be y equals x squared minus 2x minus 15. So let's complete the square. Since the value of a here is positive 1, so that means the parabola opens upwards. That's why we have this one. So to complete the square, we just divide the middle coefficient of the middle term, the coefficient of the middle term, by 2 and square it. So that'll be y equals x squared minus 2x plus negative 2 over 2 squared, then minus 15. So whatever we add here, we should also add it to 15. So that would be negative 15 plus negative 1 squared. So this would be y equals x squared minus 2x plus 1, then negative, so that would be minus 16. Then we can factor this. We can write this as y equals x squared minus 2x plus 1 can be written as x minus 1 squared minus 16. So this is the vertex form of this quadratic equation here. Therefore, the value of our h here, okay, the vertex here would be 1, negative 16. So this is it, vertex A, hk. So our answer is letter D. Okay, let's solve another problem here. Jessica's friend Tishon found an account that earns 2.5% interest compounded annually. Tishon made an initial deposit of $100 into this account. At the same time, Jessica made a deposit of $100 into her account. After 10 years, how much more money will Tishon's initial deposit have earned than Jessica's initial deposit? Okay, by the way, initially, Jessica opened a bank account that earns 2% interest compounded annually. And then her initial deposit was $100, and she uses this expression here, $100 times x to the t, to find the value of the account after t years. So we have two questions here. The first one is, what is the value of x in the expression? And this one, the second one. Okay, so let's answer the first question first. The initial deposit here earns 2%. Okay, her initial deposit is $100 and it earns 2% interest compounded annually. So at the end of 1 year, the new value of the account is the initial deposit, which is $100 plus 2% of the initial deposit. So that would be 2% of $100. So that would be $100. 2%, we can write that as 2 over 100 times $100. So 2 over 100 is just 0.02. So we extract 100, factor out 100 here, $100. So we have 1 plus 2 over 100. So this is just 1 plus 0.02. So $100 is 1 point times 1.02. Okay, since the interest is compounded annually, the value at the end of each succeeding year is the sum of the previous year's value plus 2% of the previous year's value. So this is again equivalent to multiplying the previous year's value by 1.02. Therefore, after 2 years, the value will be after 2 years, the value will be $100 times 1.02 times 1.02. So this would be $100. We can write this as 1.02 square. Therefore, after t years, the value would be $100 times 1.02 to the t. So in the formula for the value of for Jessica's account after t years, so that would be $100 times x to the t. The value of x here must be equal to 1.02. So the answer here is x equals 1.02. Now let's answer the second question. Jessica's friend Tishon found an account that earns 2.5% interest compounded annually. Tishon made an initial deposit of $100 into this account. At the same time, Jessica made a deposit of $100 into her account. After 10 years, how much more money will Tishon's initial deposit have earned than Jessica's initial deposit? So Jessica here made an initial deposit of $100 into her account, and the interest on her account is 2% compounded annually. So after 10 years, the value of her initial deposit has been multiplied 10 times, okay, by the factor of 1.02. So after 10 years, Jessica's deposit is worth $100. Okay, after 10 years. So Jessica's deposit would be $100 times 1.02 to the 10. And that is just equal to 121. So that would be $121.899 to the nearest cent, a tenth of a cent. It says here, round to the nearest cent. On the other hand, Tishon made an initial deposit of $100 into his account, but the interest on his account is 2.5% compounded annually. So after 10 years of his initial, the value of his initial deposit would be multiplied 10 times. 10 times by the factor 1.025. Okay, So this is for Tishon after 10 years. So that would be his initial deposit, which is $100 times 1.025 to the 10. And this is just equal to $128.008 to the nearest tenth of a cent. Now the question is, how much more money will Tishon's initial deposit have earned than Jessica's initial deposit? Now we can just subtract Tishon's, which is 128.008 minus 121.899. So that would be equal to $6.11 dollars. Therefore, Tishon's initial deposit earned $6.11 more than that of Jessica's initial deposit.